When 78-year-old Carl retired from his job as a mechanical engineer, the first few months felt like freedom. No alarm clocks, no meetings, no traffic. He fixed the kitchen faucet, organized his garage, and watched baseball with his morning coffee. But slowly, something began to change. "I didn't realize how much of my identity was tied to being needed," he said quietly. After a while, the days felt longer and quieter. The phone stopped ringing as often. Friends from work got busy. His grandkids had their own lives. One day he looked around and thought, "I have time now, but where do I fit?" That's the silent struggle so many seniors face after retirement, not just what to do with time, but how to stay relevant. Society often celebrates retirement as a victory, but it rarely talks about the loss that comes with it. Loss of purpose, loss of structure, and sometimes loss of being seen. For decades, your value was measured in productivity, your work, your skills, your reliability. And suddenly the world doesn't need you in the same way anymore. That shift can feel disorienting, even lonely. Why does this matter so deeply? Because relevance isn't about ego, it's about connection. Feeling useful, valued, and socially engaged keeps the mind sharp, the body active, and the spirit alive. Research from Stanford University shows that seniors who maintain a sense of purpose live longer and report nearly 40% higher overall life satisfaction than those who feel detached or retired from the world. Humans are wired to belong, to contribute, and to be acknowledged. When those needs fade, health and happiness follow. What's tricky is that many people try to fill that void with surface-level distractions. Some dive into constant TV, watching others fill every day with errands, or take up hobbies they don't actually enjoy just to stay busy. But busy is not the same as connected. Busyness can mask loneliness, but doesn't cure it. Carl tried that path. He joined a golf club because his neighbors did, but after a few weeks, he realized it wasn't for him. "I liked the people," he said, "but it didn't make me feel like me." Others fall into a similar trap, trying to replicate the structure of work life with endless activities that don't truly engage the heart. The result, they end up feeling more isolated than before. Some even withdraw completely, thinking, maybe this is just what getting older feels like. But that's not true. The science of aging and countless real-life stories show that staying relevant after retirement has less to do with work and more to do with meaning. Relevance isn't lost when your career ends. It's rediscovered when you start expressing the wisdom, compassion, and perspective that only time can teach. That's what Carl eventually learned. "I thought my usefulness ended when my paycheck did," he said. "But then I realized people don't stop needing guidance, kindness, or encouragement. They just need it in new ways." In today's video, we'll explore 7 subtle but powerful ways to stay relevant and connected after retirement. These aren't drastic changes or forced reinventions. They're quiet shifts in mindset and daily habits that make people naturally drawn to you again. Because relevance doesn't fade with age, it grows when you share your experience with a world that still needs it, even if it doesn't always say so out loud. If you've ever caught yourself wondering, "Do I still matter the way I used to?" then this video is for you. Please hit the like button, subscribe to Senior Ways, and tell us in the comments, what's one thing that still makes you feel connected to others these days? Solution number 1, share what you know, not just what you did. When 79-year-old Linda retired after 4 decades as a nurse, she missed her patients, but what she missed most was the sense of being useful. She no longer had a reason to put on her scrubs, but she still carried decades of compassion, patience, and medical wisdom. Then one day her neighbor asked her to speak to a small group at church about senior health tips. "I almost said no," Linda laughed, "but something told me to go." That talk changed her life. People came up afterwards saying, "I wish someone had explained it that clearly before." Linda realized that her worth didn't end when her job did, it simply shifted. "I thought I'd lost my identity," she said, "but I just had to share it differently." That's the first subtle key to staying relevant after retirement. Don't focus on what you used to do. Focus on what you know now. There's a huge difference between a resume and wisdom. Your experience, whether from work, parenting, or life struggles, becomes more valuable when you pass it on. Mentoring, volunteering, or even casual conversations at the local cafe can make you someone others look up to again. Psychologists call this generativity, the desire to guide younger generations. It's one of the strongest predictors of happiness in older adults. The simple act of teaching, advising, or listening gives life purpose. As Linda puts it, I may not wear a name badge anymore, but I still heal people, just in a different way. So instead of feeling like your story is over, think of this stage as your encore, a chance to pass the torch, not set it down. Solution number 2, stay curious about the world around you. 81-year-old Ray likes to joke that he's majoring in YouTube University. Every morning he spends half an hour watching short educational videos, everything from how bees communicate to how electric cars work. My wife says I could host a trivia show, he laughs, but it keeps my brain sharp. Curiosity is one of the most underrated forms of vitality. Seniors who keep asking questions about technology, culture, or the people around them project energy that draws respect from every generation. The truth is, the world changes fast, but curiosity bridges the gap. When older adults show genuine interest in new ideas, younger people naturally reciprocate with attention and admiration. Ray's grandson, who is 24 now, calls him weekly to talk about science and space exploration. It's funny, Ray says, I used to think I had to teach him things. Now he's teaching me, and we both love it. Neuroscience backs this up. Curiosity activates the brain's reward center, increasing dopamine levels and strengthening memory retention. Learning something new, no matter how small, literally keeps your mind youthful. But more importantly, it makes you relatable. A curious senior feels present in today's world, not trapped in yesterday's. Ray says the key is humility. You can't be curious if you think you already know everything. I just keep reminding myself there's always something new to learn. That mindset keeps conversations alive and relationships growing. Staying curious doesn't mean keeping up with every gadget or slang word, it means staying open. Whether it's trying a new hobby, learning to use an app, or asking your grandchild what they're passionate about, curiosity makes you ageless. As Ray says, people respect you when they realize you're not just living in the past, you're still excited about the future. Solution number 3, keep showing up with emotional confidence. When 80-year-old Martha lost her husband, she slowly began turning down invitations, dinners, church events, even her weekly book club. I told myself I was too tired, she said, but really I just didn't know who I was without him. Months passed, and one evening a close friend knocked on her door. Martha, she said, we miss your laughter. Please come back. The next Sunday, Martha finally showed up, shaky, unsure, but present. And something amazing happened. Everyone welcomed her as if no time had passed. It felt like the world had been waiting for me, she said. That's the third key to staying relevant, showing up even when you don't feel ready. Many seniors underestimate how much their presence matters. When you stop engaging socially, others stop expecting you, not out of rejection, but because they assume you don't want to be involved. Relevance isn't about popularity, it's about visibility. The simple act of being there keeps you connected. Psychologists call this emotional confidence, the willingness to engage even when you feel uncertain. Studies from the University of Chicago found that older adults who maintain regular face-to-face interactions experience lower rates of depression and cognitive decline. Each social encounter, even brief ones, activates brain areas linked to empathy and memory. Martha says, when I showed up again, I realized people didn't forget me. I had just forgotten how much I mattered. The secret isn't pretending to be confident. It's remembering that connection doesn't require perfection. You don't have to be the loudest person in the room. You just have to walk in. Solution number 4, redefine your value beyond achievement. 78-year-old Samuel used to introduce himself by his title, I was a financial advisor for 30 years. But one day his granddaughter interrupted him and said, Grandpa, that's not who you are. You're the one who makes the best pancakes and always finds the stars first when we look up. Samuel laughed, but later admitted, that hit me hard. I realized I'd spent my whole life being defined by my job, not my heart. After retirement, many seniors unconsciously attach their self-worth to what they used to do, teacher, nurse manager, builder, instead of who they've become. When those titles disappear, it can feel like identity disappears too. But respect and connection come from authenticity, not resume lines. Samuel decided to change how he introduced himself. Now he says, "I'm a grandpa, a stargazer, and someone who's still learning patience." That simple shift made him feel more alive. "People respond differently," he said. "They see me as a person, not a past." This mindset aligns with what psychologists call self-concept renewal, the process of reshaping your identity after a major life transition. Studies show that seniors who develop new self-descriptions focused on relationships, creativity, or spirituality experience greater happiness and stronger social bonds than those who cling to old labels. Redefining your value also removes the pressure to stay accomplished. You don't need awards or titles to be respected. What people value most in older adults is wisdom, empathy, and calm qualities that only deepen with time. Samuel said, "I used to be proud of how much I earned. Now I'm proud of how much I understand." That's what true relevance looks like, when your presence feels like guidance, not resume recitation. Because in the end, the world doesn't need your old job title. It needs your steady hand, your perspective, and your warmth. Solution number 5, stay in touch with younger generations, not just peers. When 79-year-old Helen moved into a new neighborhood, she noticed most of her neighbors were much younger, young families, couples with children, and professionals rushing off to work. "At first I felt invisible," she said. "Everyone was nice, but no one really talked." Then, one afternoon, she saw a boy trying to ride his bike without training wheels. He kept tipping over. Helen called out, "Don't look at the ground. Look where you want to go." The boy smiled, tried again, and stayed upright. A few days later, his mother came over to thank her, saying, "He told me the lady down the street taught him how to ride." That small connection changed everything. Soon, Helen was invited to barbecues, book swaps, and even a local park cleanup. "I realized the younger families weren't avoiding me," she said. "They just didn't know me yet." Staying relevant means bridging the generational gap. Many seniors feel disconnected from younger people, assuming they don't share common ground. But curiosity, humor, and kindness transcend age. When older adults take the initiative to connect, asking about modern life, listening without judgment, or offering perspective when invited, they earn not only respect, but affection. Sociologists call this intergenerational reciprocity, the exchange of wisdom for energy. Seniors gain vitality through youthful company, while younger people gain perspective through seasoned experience. Helen says every generation needs the other. That's how communities stay alive. Solution number 6, contribute without controlling. 82-year-old Walter has 4 adult children, all with strong opinions. For years, every family gathering ended in arguments about politics, money, parenting, or how things used to be. One day his daughter told him, "Dad, we love your advice, but sometimes it feels like you're still trying to run the show." That stung, but it also opened his eyes. "I realized I was so used to leading that I forgot how to listen," he said. So Walter made a small change. He stopped giving advice unless asked. Instead, he started asking questions. "How are you handling this?" or "What made you decide that?" Within weeks, the energy shifted. His kids began including him more, calling him for his opinion again, not out of obligation but out of trust. "Once I stopped pushing," he said, "they started pulling me in." That's the quiet power of humility. Many seniors lose influence because they cling to control, believing it keeps them relevant. But true relevance grows from respect, not authority. Psychologists describe this as relational adaptability, the ability to adjust how you engage as relationships evolve. It's not about stepping back entirely. It's about stepping with others instead of in front of them. Walter says, "When I stopped talking at them and started talking with them, I felt close to my kids again. I didn't lose power, I gained peace." In retirement, control often shrinks while connection expands if you let it. Solution number 7, keep evolving your story. 80-year-old Ruth says she reinvented herself 3 times, first as a teacher, then as a painter, and finally as a storyteller at her local library. The secret to staying alive inside, she says, is to keep having something new to say about yourself. That's the 7th subtle way to stay relevant. Keep growing your story. When seniors embrace change, trying new hobbies, joining new communities, or setting fresh goals, people see them as dynamic, not defined by the past. Growth makes you magnetic. Neuroscience explains why. The human brain thrives on novelty. New experiences trigger dopamine, the same chemical that makes us feel curious and motivated. Whether it's learning photography, starting a garden, or taking dance lessons, these small adventures remind both you and others that your story isn't finished. Ruth says, "I don't want people to remember who I was. I want them to know who I am." That's the difference between aging and evolving. One happens automatically, the other takes intention. Final thoughts. Science continues to prove what wisdom has long known: connection and relevance are the true foundations of healthy aging. A 20-year study from Harvard found that strong relationships, not wealth, not fame, not success, are the single greatest predictor of happiness and longevity. Staying engaged keeps the mind sharp and the heart open. So let's quickly recap the 7 subtle ways to stay relevant and connected after retirement. First, share your knowledge generously. Wisdom only grows when passed on. Second, stay curious about the world. Curiosity keeps you young. Third, keep showing up even when confidence wavers. Your presence is power. Fourth, redefine your value beyond achievement. You are more than your resume. Fifth, bridge generations by reaching out with kindness. Sixth, contribute without controlling influence through love, not authority. And seventh, keep evolving your story because growth is the ultimate form of relevance. These habits don't require fame, fortune, or flawless health, just openness, kindness, and courage. The respect and connection you seek don't come from trying to hold on to the past, they come from embracing who you still are becoming. If this message encouraged you today, please hit the like button, subscribe to Senior Ways, and share this video with someone who's finding their new rhythm after retirement. And tell us in the comments, what's one way you stay connected or feel relevant these days? Because relevance doesn't fade with age, it deepens when you keep showing the world your light.